Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. First, for good luck, we're going to play the Ocarina of Time and the Mystical Flute to initiate a new bull run. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to look at VET today, and where are all the tokens? I actually invite you to look at this paper. It's called the VeChain Financial Executive Report, Volume 7. It was issued like almost 2 months ago on June 26th, but there are a lot of good stuff in this report, like VET supply overview and VeChain Foundation expenditure or use of proceeds. These are the two things we are going to actually look at today. But there's a lot of other stuff here, like enterprise investor pool, co-founders development team, business and legal, operation, technical research and development, and ecosystem development, plus compliance and legal. This we might actually look in on the live stream tonight, the compliance and legal. But let's actually look at the VET supply overview. So this is basically how the coins are distributed and where they all are. So there's authority masternode collateral. Each authority masternode keeps at least 25 million VETs. So there's part of the supply there. Remember, the entire circulating supply right now is over 60 billion. So 25 million is not that much if you compare it to the overall supply. And then there's X nodes staking. Each X node keeps a minimum amount of VET based on 4 different tiers, and some people who hold X nodes have that. Economic nodes staking. Each economic node keeps a minimum amount of VET based on 3 different tiers, and some of you probably have that as well. And then there's the VET team lockup. According to the white paper, 5% of the total VET supply is allocated to co-founders and development team, and this pool is released quarterly over a 2-year period. However, the executive team, as well as part of the team members, have been voluntarily locking their allocated tokens to show the commitment to VeChain's long-term success. So a lot of the team members, development foundation members have actually locked their coins as well, and that's good news because then their success is tied to the success of the company. I don't really know what that means for security and all that stuff, but from an outside view, that's good because you want the development team, you want the leadership team to be fully committed. You don't want Charlie Lee, who sold all his Litecoin and then is like making up random stuff about Litecoin about how great it is. You want them committed to the project and have their fortunes tied with the tokens' fortunes. So the circulating supply is 71%, and most of it is actually owned by the holders. As you can see, the balance of April 30th, 2019 is 61 billion out of 99 billion. 61.7 billion out of 99 billion is in the hands of VET holders. And you can actually see that I think the 61 billion includes like this stuff below. That this is just basically I think this is part of the 61 billion. And if you look at the authority masternodes, that's 2.5 billion on authority masternodes. So there's about 100 authority masternodes, each with 25 million. And then there's 11 billion on X nodes, 3.6 billion on economic nodes, and then the team lockup. So those are the holders. So the team actually owns about 2.3 billion. Like X nodes, authority nodes, and economic nodes, those are all VET held by VET holders. So that goes into the total supply of 61 billion. That's actually the circulating supply. I'm not sure which one of you have X nodes, authority master nodes, economic master nodes. Don't comment and tell me you have one in the comments. It is not wise to actually online to tell people how much money you have. That's stupid. I never tell how much money tell people how much money I have, and you shouldn't either. So the team doesn't actually own that much of the total supply. Yes, if they dump the 2 billion, it would be devastating, but I think it's locked up so they can't actually dump it. And you can see even the team has actually been accumulating from January to April. So that's really good news because that means the team believes in the project and they're accumulating for like future, maybe like for future fortunes in VeChain, which is what they should be doing, like the rest of us who are holding. So you can see that the authority masternodes haven't changed, because I think that's a stable amount. The X nodes, there's been a couple more X nodes since January. There's been about 300 million more locked up in X nodes since January. And there's been 400 million more locked up in economic nodes. So the number of nodes are increasing, the network increasing, so that is good. So non-circulating supply, and this is held by the foundation to distribute and encourage participation in the ecosystem. So the enterprise investor pool, like enterprise investors, I guess like large enterprise investors who buy into VeChain, they hold about 8.2 billion Co-founder development team holds about 1.3 billion, and that's aside from the team lockup. That's just the regular development team. The co-founders, the founders, and the development team is 1.3 billion. Ongoing operation and technical development, they have to fund the operation somehow. Now, VeChain is actually fully funded for like the next 4 or 5 years, but to get extra funds for more technological development and to bring on more staff, I guess, they have about 7.7 billion. Now, they did have about 8.6 billion of this in January, and by April they only had 7.7, which means they spent about 900 million VET for ongoing operational and technological development in the first quarter. Business development, they've spent about 100 million VET, but this is the biggest decrease right here. The enterprise development pool, they've only gone down by about 15 billion, which means they give about 50 million VET to get more enterprise people on. Maybe like that's distributed to people like Walmart China to actually initially get them on board. Co-founder development team, that actually went down by about 500 million. That almost looks like it went from the co-founder and the development team to the team lockup almost. So I'm guessing like some of it actually did go to the team lockup, so they locked up some of the funds. Some of it was probably spent on development. Others, like people probably just sold to, like buy food or whatever, house or whatever. So the co-founder and development team, those funds have gone down. The enterprise pool, they've only sold about 50 million to the enterprise pool. Ongoing technological development, they've used about 900 million in the first quarter. And business development, they've only used about 100 million. So 71% is held by VET holders now. And the amount that's actually held by VET holders, especially the team lockup, has actually increased. And like I said, it looks like the co-founder and development team have basically transferred some of the funds into the team lockup. So whereas that might have not been locked before, that looks like it was released in the ecosystem and was locked up by the development team almost. So let's actually see what they actually use the funds for. So technical R&D was $515,000, 26% of the ratio. Business development, $1.1 million. Remember, each VET is only half a cent right now, so even selling like a billion VET is really some like $5 million at this point. So keep that in mind. Business development was $1.1 million. Legal and compliance, $53,000. I'm guessing this stuff, legal and compliance plus business development, that has something to do with getting the USA listing. Now, I'm actually expecting business development and compliance and legal to increase quite rapidly. Yeah, increase quite rapidly in the next few quarters because they need the US compliance. So compliance and legal definitely increase, especially in the USA segment. And ecosystem development, 282,000. A total of $1.977 million was actually spent from January until April for all these things. So they're actually not spending that much money because 1.9 million on R&D, business development, compliance and legal, and ecosystem development together in 3 months isn't really all that much. Most of it just went to, a lot of it that actually came out of the code developer fund actually just went into the team lockup fund. So I guess they're just paying employees or incentivizing employees to join the system. So business development right here was the lion's share, 57%. And that means like spending funds to get more partners on board, making business alliances, probably working with DNVGL, Deloitte, and PwC. So we actually want that to happen. So in my opinion, I am a little concerned about the co-founder and development team decreasing the balance. That really just looks like it went into the team lockup, but we don't actually know that. So I want to see a little bit more explanation on why this actually decreased so much. The rest of it actually looks fine. I mean, you're going to operations and technical development, you're going to need to actually sell a lot of VET to actually fund R&D, besides the funding you already have. And business development, I would like to see a little bit more spending here than 100 million VET per quarter. This is enterprise investor pool. That really matters. That really depends on how many enterprises come in and how much you actually need to incentivize them by, and that's fine as well. So overall, I'm a little concerned about the co-founder and development team funds, but I am very much encouraged by the team lockup funds because it looks like the team is locking up more VET for the future. And it's really encouraging to see like X nodes and economic nodes both increase in number from January until April 2019. I'm going to be really looking forward to the May to August report, and I think we'll see more about that as well, especially since Walmart China actually came on during that time. So I will expect to see a lot of change in these numbers. I'll link the Medium article in the description, and you can take a look at it yourself. And this also has some announced partnerships and collaborations from February to April 2019, including Haier, which is a big electronics supplier in China. So check out the development and what they're doing with DNVGL and Deloitte. And this is actually a pretty good news for VeChain. I'm pretty satisfied with the report overall. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you and have a nice day.